evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back after a long Christmas break. We are ready to get back underway with some good old racing for round 17 at Suzuka. But as we mentioned, it has been a bit of a break since the last time we were out, back at round 16 in Russia. So let's just give you a reminder of what happened, however many weeks ago that was. But Hypers needs a near perfect run to complete the season. We await the 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. It's a good start from Hypers, but it's an even better start from Ballast Kevin, who tugs right in behind Hypers as we make our way down the long straight into turn 1. Keep an eye on the photo, and he's looking for the outside of Ballast Kevin into 2. He'll get squeezed a little wide, but he's got the inside for 3. And now as we see the Williams battling with the Red Bull of Napadovsky back behind Ballast Kevin, he's got the inside 4-4, and he'll take a look, but Photon tries to hold it around the outside, and indeed he will. Photon up into second place. Is there anything Ballast Kevin can say about this? Oh, there's a little bit of contact between the two as Ballast Kevin now has the inside as we make our way into 15 and 16. Kevin with the inside for 16. He taps the wall. That's going to cost him. And now Curly's going to have a go as well. Down the inside we go into turn 17. And Ballast Kevin once again, instead of losing 1 position, he ends up losing 2. And that's Photon down into 7th, or what will become... Oh, Hypers! Did Calcifer do something? That is my question. Or has Hypers made a mistake on his own? And Hypers is into the pits. Oh, could you feel any worse for him?
Oh, no, he retired.
And speaking of Photon, he's going to look for the inside heading into turn 2. And he'll make the move stick as well. Picks up his 3rd time penalty of the race as Leopard looks for the outside down the start-finish straight, and he will pick up a 4th place. Ballast Kevin picks up another time penalty, and Leopard down the inside. Here we go, Leopard right on the tail. He's got DRS, so does Leopard, so does Napadovsky. Napadovsky's going for a move onto Photon. Leopard wants to go on all of them. He'll take 1. He'll take a 2. 2 in a 1. No and way. Leopard, he takes the lead of the Russia Grand Prix. Napadovsky on Photon, down the inside of 12 he will go, and now the outside of 14. Photon will try to keep it side by side, but I think Napadovsky's done it. Meanwhile behind, Mark has picked up 4th place, still side by side between the Red Bull and Toro Rosso into 15 and 16, still side by side on the exit, but Napadovsky's gonna have to slot in behind. Mark still keeping it side by side with Lehman, but he has the inner side for turn 17. He'll squeeze Lehman out wide, side by side across the line. Lehman across the line sideways. It doesn't matter, they've already crossed the line. Leonard will take 6th place. Wow, what a crazy race that we had back at the Sochi Autodrome. Remind us how we currently sit in the standings and what is at stake heading into tonight's Grand Prix. Let's take a quick look at the drivers and the constructors championship standings. After 16 rounds, Photon still leads the driver championship standings, having extended his lead to Hypers to 65 points, who is a further 55 points ahead of Napadovsky. Lehman climbs up to 4th ahead of Formula Danius. Mark also closes in to the Veloce Esports driver. Leopard, though, is the big move up to 7th place after just 3 races in ORL. He is just 1 point ahead of Matthias, who is a further 2 points ahead of Hayes, with Nameless just 4 points behind. We've then got a big battle for 11th place as Wow leads Hadler, Zones, Kopi, and then all tied on 33 points, Donoso, Stiv, and Soren. And actually Calcifer as well, with Crew 6 just 1 point behind. In the Constructors' Championship standings, Toro Rosso still lead, now over 50 points ahead of Mercedes, with Red Bull just 15 points behind. So more strong results from Napadovsky could see them jumping up to 2nd place. Williams don't count them out of the battle for 2nd place, as Lehman and Matthias are doing bits for the team They're less than 40 points behind Red Bull, with Ferrari just a further 20 points behind. McLaren also climbing up the table. They're up into 7th place, courtesy of Leopard's strong results.
I'm good now. Sorry.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And joining us for the first time is Mr. ByronVilla, replacing Maku for this week's race. How are you doing, dude?
I am doing very well, thank you. Super excited for Japan. I'm hoping for a lot of spins, as we often see around the Suzuka S's. It's always an exciting track to watch.
Yeah, and just as you said that, we had just got into the lobby and we were taking a look at the drivers who had joined, / who hadn't joined. Big names in Formula Danny rejoining. We know how quick he is, insanely fast esports driver and one of the top drivers of the esports series. And just now jumping into the lobby as well is Mr. Kardanov, and he was racing. I don't know if you watched the F1 esports. I think it's called the Pro Draft or the Draft series. He finished second in that race and qualified for the next stage. So he could very well be in the esports series next year. So we've got a few big names landing here with us tonight.
Yeah, and I mean that's bound to be exciting. I mean, you look at the last 3 races, and despite the issues in Singapore, Leopard has looked like an absolute beast. And I was a little bit worried coming into this race. He might just break out into first place, but with obviously, before we're down here, we got, as he talks about, Kardanov here as well. Like, there's a lot of challenging opponents around for Leopard, and I'm hoping we get a very, very close fight on the podium here, because that is bound to be exciting.
Yeah, we have an absolutely insane battle for that top spot, and you know, it's weird, isn't it? We're talking about who's going to be taking those podium spots, who's going to be going for the win. We mentioned Leopard, Formula Danny, and of course Kardanov, but we're forgetting getting the only 2 people who are left in the championship battle: Photon, who's leading by a massive amount, and Napadovsky, who's sitting in 3rd but is effectively 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, Photon, what I've liked about him is how he consistently shows up and is able to get good results. It's not often you see a driver who is both really fast and also shows up to all the races.
Yeah.
So having someone like Photon around is great. And I think that whilst Leopard's been able to go on a dominating streak kind of recently, there was a chance for Photon to kind of establish himself again. It's just that he's usually... But the reason he's in the place right now isn't really... It's more because of his consistency and his ability to turn up than it is his raw pace. And I feel like Leopard might have him beat there. So it's more about, can he catch these players sleeping on him?
And you mentioned consistency, and you know that's so vital. Even when we look back to season 10, it feels so long ago. But you know, Calcifer, and it wasn't just Calcifer turning up race after race. It was just every race, and I remember saying at the time, impeccable. Like, okay, he wasn't the quickest driver out there, but he would not make mistakes. And sure, he'd say after the races, oh, you know, I could have found 10ths here, 10ths there, but there were no big mistakes, no incidents at all, and ultimately, that's what won him the championship. You know, Formula Danny, just insanely fast, but if the guy you're chasing down in the championship isn't making any mistakes and isn't losing any big points, all you can do is chip away and not get anything massive. And that's kind of the case that what we saw this year between Hypers and Photon. Hypers missed out a few races due to penalties, some due to being unable to turn up, while Photon just kept on chipping away. And even at the end of last season, Photon just being consistent, always in the podiums, always there. Just to quickly give some background info on Hypers, he's not going to be taking part in this race, nor any races in the rest of the season, as he has been excluded from the rest of the championship. He had received too many penalty points, and heading into Russia, he was on a last warning, and he had a qualifying ban, which he did not accept and took part in qualifying anyway, hence why he started on pole, and as a result, he has been excluded from the rest of the championship.
Yeah, and
sorry, go on.
Whilst we're here, though, it is worth talking about some, I'd say, more dark horses, players that we don't typically think could, you know, get on the podium. But I think we could talk about in this scenario because, like I said, Japan earlier on, there's a lot of spins that can happen, a lot of places to make mistakes. It is quite a volatile track like that, and we don't even know what the weather's going to be like yet. Yeah. So you look at people like Layman, like Matthias, for example. I think if things go their way, they could score big here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I'm not quite sure how many drivers we have. Actually, we've got 21 people in the lobby. That's including you, myself, and our pit lane correspondent Panther, who we will be hearing from shortly. So, do a quick math. 21 minus 3. That means we've got 18 drivers in. So that's a pretty big lobby, and that's a lot of drivers. As you mentioned, big chances for incidents. We talk about that the big bump coming through the final corner at Japan can catch people out so easily, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities to pick up those points, and who knows what we might see towards the front of the field as well.
Yeah, and that's why what's coming up now, qualifying, is going to be so important. If you can get yourself near the front of the grid, if you can get yourself away from the chaos before it starts breaking out, that is so imperative, because it saves your skin and it guarantees you a good placing in the race. So it's very important that in qualifying we see the best out of these drivers. And if I see any sneaky strats, if I see them trying to go for maybe a little bit of a medium or something like that, I just think, nah, you've got to go for the softs and try and push into qualifying just to try and get yourself in the best possible position here, because it's so important.
And you mentioned the softs, and I think this is the best time to bring Black Panther in, who I'm sure has a bit of info for us for what kind of tyre strategies we might be expecting to see tonight.
Yes, I think we will see the soft medium strategy, if it stays dry at least. But just to update you guys, I won't be in the lobby itself because Andy Nater will join in. So we'll have to watch with the stream of the ORL on YouTube.
However, the good news about that is that we have a full lobby. It's a 20-man race.
Yeah, this is perfect. You can't ask for anything more. Also, Panther, that was a slick entry in. Clean, dude.
Thank you.
Also, of course, as well, if you want, you have my Discord stream up as well, and you'll be able to exactly what I see as well. I want to go back though to Japan as a kind of overall, because I'm going to tie in a bit of the F1 esports series as well. Because this was when Formula Danny, he was coming back into form. He had some issues in the first round of the season. Then after round 3, he looked quick. He had picked up 2 wins in a row, Monza and Spa. And heading into, I think it's Suzuka, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, there was a big chance for him to actually contend for the championship. But he didn't get the best of qualifying results. And all we saw was just a massive train of cars. Really difficult for a lot of drivers to actually overtake here. And it almost feels somewhat like Hungary. You've got, I guess, 2 big opportunities. One into that final corner, try to stick with someone through 130R, and I guess into turn 1 as well.
Yeah, it's a real tough place. You've got to look for places like getting a really good entry out of Spoon onto the back straight, and maybe trying to use some DRS alongside a nice slipstream and seeing if you can get someone there. But it is a really, really tough track to overtake on, and there's especially certain parts like the S's, for example, and really that second sector of the track overall is just so tough to be behind someone because of a lot of the dirty air that gets thrown out. Trying to keep yourself stable, it's very difficult, and so that's why I'm interested to see what happens when drivers kind of stack up and when there are these battles, because it's very hard to overtake, as you said.
With that said and done, I just realized we don't have much time to do this, but here is our driver of the day track guide at Suzuka from our very own Leopard. Not Leopard, as I've been saying, as Mr. Byron did correct me, so here it is for you guys. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our track guide here at Suzuka in Japan. We're riding on board with our driver of the day from Russia, Leopard, who's been impressing many people with 2 wins out of his 3 races. But coming into the final corner is all about setting yourself up for the start-finish straight. Leopard, he gets a nice run through, well, what is actually the penultimate corner, and now be careful through the final kink as you make your way onto the start-finish straight, as there is a bit of a nasty bump on the approach to the start-finish line. Anyway, into turn 1, doesn't even downshift, but coming into turn 2, that's when you have to use all of that trail braking. And now into the S's from 6th, just a little left, and now down into 5th gear for the 2nd. Into the 3rd part, and you go up in 6th, back down to 5th for the right-hander. And now as you make your way into Dunlop, back up into 6th gear, feed the power on, use as much of the track as possible. Now hold it to the left as you make your way into the 2 Degners. A little bit of a corner cut there, but that's fine. Down into 2nd gear for Degner 2. And now make your way up the hill into the hairpin of turn 11. Keep it all the way to the right, dropping it down into 1st gear. Now short shift up through the gears into 3rd. And now use all of those revs as you make your way through the King of 12 and into the most famous, second most famous corner of the circuit, Spoon. Dropping it down into 5th gear. Very easy to run wide on both parts of a Spoon. He drops it into 4th gear for turn 14, and now down the hill, or up the hill we go, into the most famous 130R. It's going to be flat out, not even a hint of a lift. Almost touches the curve, a little bit like Blanchimont at Spa, and then 100-meter board break all the way down into 3rd gear. Back on the power, try to abuse the track limits as much as you can over that little bump and across the line to set a 128.3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just realized I had to get I almost did it again, Byron. I almost said Leopard. Leopard. I almost got Leopard's a lap. Forgot to do it. But this is perfect timing because as we switch to the game, Formula Danny about to start a hot lap. And who better to essentially inaugurate you into ORL than a hot lap from the man himself, Danny Bereshne?
Oh, let's have a look. He is... Oh my god, that's already rapid. Like, I'm not a very fast F1 driver, I'll admit that right now. So having the treat of really watching such a high-level league is great in itself. But I mean, look at those S's, man.
Yeah,
it's great to see.
There are a few phrases to explain how quick he is, and I shall refrain from using a few of them as he absolutely throws it into the Degners. Formula Danny, he has to be our favourite to take pole, and then, we've been talking about Cardinov, but we can't forget about Leopard, and of course our championship leader, Photon. As Formula Danny, he's going to back out, and I'm not sure if he did invalidate his time, but most of the drivers do seem to be going up for these soft tyres, as Matthias actually just flies up past Formula Danny there. Ballas Kevin, he sets a 27.7. Let's see if Matthias can do anything about that. It's easy heading down the back straight.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he can do now. As... Oh, Marks is a 127.4. Nice time by him.
That's nice and late on the brakes, down to 3rd gear again. We saw that with a Leopard's lap as Matthias has a big moment coming over the bump and across the line. It's only going to be a 28.0, which is just enough for 6th place. Photon down in 8th, as we're seeing a few drivers just finishing off their laps. Let's see if we can get on board with Napadovsky. Indeed we can. He's coming into the final chicane now.
Yeah, he is. It's a nice exit there as he crosses the line. 3rd. Mark 313 right now. 127.4, leading the pack.
Yeah, Mark, he's really kind of come alive this season. I remember back last year we talk a lot about Mark, and he used to be Mr. Unlucky. Everything would just go against him. A disconnect when he's in contention for the podium is just always something. And the case has even been the same this year, but you can really notice that his raw pace is lit up, and I can't wait to see him even maybe challenging for some esport spots, as I think the only driver on a hot lap now who hasn't already done a lap is...
Yeah, we'll see what he can do here. Generally though, looking at the people who have set up right now, Photon sticks out to me is that's a very slow lap for someone who we're expecting to possibly challenge for the podium here. 128.4. Obviously, there's still 12.5 minutes left of the session, but it's a little bit of a red flag for me.
Yeah, of course, and he's definitely going to need to find some time because the field is so close. 0.6 of a second separating first all the way down to 13th, and then Photon a further half a second down. So maybe something's happened as Krusix is actually backing out of his lap now. So I'm not sure if he's going to try to go again, or if he's just going to pull into the pits right now. I guess pits is going to be the answer.
Yeah, Formula Danny has also just started another hot lap alongside the Leopard. So I'm interested to see how those two stack up. We've kind of hyped them up at the start of the stream, so this is where they get to flex their pace during qualifying. So we'll see what they're able to do. Is that leading right?
Yeah, and but actually both Formula Danny and Leopard, we talk about one-man teams. And okay, Alfa Romeo is not a one-man team because Formula Danny's teammate is James Baldwin, who, yeah, I mean, he's pretty darn quick. But I mean, James isn't here, so I did it. I said I would do it. Alfa Romeo is effectively a one-man team, as is McLaren, with the Leopard just picking up all the points for them. So this is a big race for both teams as well to climb up that constructors table as Formula Danny flies into the spoon curve.
Yeah, and here he comes now. Casio chicane here is. Something about to say. I'm interested to see what time he gets. Is he going to shoot to the top? Fourth place.
Leopard, not a bad lap, but this is the man we want to see. He's 5.6 seconds up at the minute, which means that there is definitely more time. And actually, he's going to peel into the pit. So, Formula Danny, he's not comfortable with the laps. And, of course, with it being Parc Fermé regulation, straight from qualifying to race, it does mean that whatever time you set those quickest laps on, whatever tyres you set your quickest lap on, you have to use into the race. So, if you had a bit of a lock-up or whatever, sometimes you just get that kind of nagging doubt. Do I want to start on these tyres? Is it better just to risk it and go again?
Yeah, I think Formula Danny is probably someone who can risk trying to get the best tyre in. However, with only 10 minutes left of the session, you have to start. If he botches up another lap and he goes something like this again, you have to start worrying because you need to still set a good lap. You can't be sat there in P16 where he is right now. I don't expect him to be there, but you have to kind of show something soon. Otherwise, there are going to be a lot of worry.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't mind if Formula Danny and Cardinov failed to set lap times because then we get to see them absolutely carve through the field. Speaking of Cardinov, making his way through 130R into that Casio triangle chicane where Senna and Prost famously took each other out back in 88, I believe, as Cardinov makes his way over the Suzuka bump, somehow holds it together and across the line. It's a 27.6, but it's only enough for 5th place.
Yeah, and I think we still have to highlight this time that Mark's made. It's still standing. We're only 9 minutes left of the session. That's a proper good time from him. And the more I think about it, and it can only help him. I mean, he's really been more of a mid-table fighter this season, fighting a little bit higher than he was last. And now, if he's able to set this kind of lap and give himself a fantastic qualifying position, it sets him up to have a fantastic race.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, we talk about those big names. Well, right now, he's got Boatson and Andinators, that big buffer between Leopard, Cardinov, and Napadovsky. So this is fantastic. However, Photon is on a hot lap, 7/10 up at the minute, which will put him right about that 6th, 7th spot. So let's see if he can ace the Casio triangle, because this lap's going to be important as he does a me through the chicane, losing that back end, has another moment, but can he keep it all together? Cross the line is a 27.5, and that is going to be 2nd place.
There he goes, Photon. Eases the worries that had us. Oh my goodness, Kevin. 127.2. That's it. I mean, there's no other word for it. It's fast.
Yeah, that is crazy fast. And do we think, actually, let's take this over to our man in the pit lane, Black Panther. Do you think we're going to be seeing anyone maybe eking into those 26s?
I'm not sure. Like, I know Danny can be really fast at some time, but for sure at this track, so I think he will maybe just hit 26.9. But I expect a close battle for sure in the race. Qualifying is really important here, so it should be pretty close altogether. As you can see, like all three tenths of each other, or even thousands of seconds from each other. It's insane.
And right as you say that, Panther zones goes quickest with a 27-1. We're getting closer and closer to that 26 mark. But here's the man I want to take a look at, Mark. He was on provisional pole. Can he go any faster on his second run as he makes his way into Spoon? We'll see what his delta time is like through that second sector just momentarily. But it's very close at the front between Zones and Kevin. And then we've got Mark, Lehman, and Crew 6. But here we go, Mark. What is that delta gonna be? Oh, 500 up. It's not gonna be enough to beat Zones and Kevin, but can he ace this final section of corners? It's looking fairly clean. No mess, no moments with the back end. A little thing over the bump, and it's going to be another 27-3. Only enough for third place.
Well, you can't really complain about improvements, though. It's good that he's trying to distance himself, and there's a bit of a gap forming between that top 3 now and the rest of the pack. And if you told me in 6 minutes after qualifying that Zones, Kevin, and Mark were going to make up our top 3, I would have called you out and said that can't be right. Here we are as now I'm interested. Currently starting his lap.
Take a look actually, because Formula Danny's coming across the line, and this time he's not peeling into the pits. How quick is it gonna be? There we go, Formula Danny, 26.859. I mean, let's be honest, Byron. Was there ever any doubt?
I said there would be doubt if he screwed up another set of laps, but there he goes. He sets what is just insanely fast lap there. I assume he's just going to be pitting in now. Happy with that. Unless he wants to go for another improvement.
No.
He might do it. Calcifer still has not set a lap, which is worth noting.
And I think I have got some news on that. I'm not sure just yet, but I don't think he will be setting a lap. I'll wait for confirmation on that though. But actually, let's stick on board with the Leopard, because he's actually 4/10 up right now, which is going to be putting him really close to getting into those 26s as well, as he tries to take as much curb as possible into the Casio triangle. And here we go, coming across the line. How quick is it going to be? Oh, 27-0. And to be just 2/10 off Formula Danny, that is an achievement and a half.
It is, but I don't think Leopard's going to be happy with that. He's been in winning contention the last 3 races. He isn't just going to concede that first place to Formula Danny that easily. I imagine he's going to want to push for something faster if he can.
Right. Now, the question is, who do we sit on board with? Andinator, Cardinov, or Mr. Anchor? They are all on hot laps. Pardon me, right now.
Man. And what surprised me most is that Photon and Napadovsky, they seem to be sitting in the pits right now. And if I were them, I would not be happy with those times. I mean, saying 8th and 9th, you really want to push for something better, you'd imagine.
Also, can we just point out 9,000ths of a second separating 8th to 10th as we ride on board with Cardinov, who's making his way down the back straight. He is on a better lap. Let's see what his delta. Okay, maybe he's not on a better lap. Something must have happened in that middle sector. And he's probably going to be peeling into the pits at the end of this lap. As Mr. Anka, actually, he's gone 6th with a 29.4.
And there we go. Yeah, it's a good lap from Mr. Anka. Hope you're happy with 3.5 minutes left of the session, and most drivers now residing in their pit. Not many out right now. Is Kevin looking to push for a faster lap right now as he finishes off the S's?
Okay, that means that Kevin is going to be the first driver to complete their final lap. He makes his way through Deckner 1 and 2 under the bridge and now into the hairpin, and just watch for those short shifts. First gear, second, and then, okay, not straight up to third. We saw Leopard's track guy, very quick shift up into third, but for Kevin, it's just up into second and then kind of stretches out those revs. Into the Spoon we go, drops it down into 5th gear, uses as much of that exit as possible, down into third temporarily, short shift up into 4th, and now up at the revs we go. Get yourself mentally prepared for 130 yard to take that one flat out. Up into 8th gear, he's 1/10 up at the minute. This may be enough for second, and into the chicane he will go. Down into 2nd gear, Doesn't need to drop it into first. Up the gears now. Little moment, as always, over the bump and across the line for a 27.1, 200ths of Leopard's time.
And there we go. Leopard and Danny staying 1 and 2 as we expected, but Kevin, that's a fantastic result for him so far. However, it's not over. There are still 2 minutes left of this session, and look at the amount of outlaps happening right now. Pretty much 2/3 of the grid looking now to start setting some more hot laps, as it will be their last real chance to get themselves further up the grid.
And speaking of those hot laps, Leonard's on 1 right now, making his way through Dunlop. Let's see what that Sector 1 time is like as he heads into Degner 1. He's a 10th down, but that can easily be made up over the rest of the lap as he really rides the curve on the exit of Degner 2. Hopefully that won't invalidate his lap time as down into first gear. Let's see how quickly he short shifts up. Fairly quickly up into third, but he just used a little bit less revs than we saw Ballast Kevin doing on his lap. As we make our way into Spoon just after the 50-meter board, trail braking all the way through, down into third actually temporarily, and then quickly up into fourth on the exit, onto the back straight. And let's just take a look at what that Sector 2 Delta looks like.
Ooh, still behind. I don't imagine he'll be making some massive improvements unless he screwed it up here. But who knows? Now we can go on board with some others.
Was
just finishing the.
That wasn't quite enough, but I'm gonna sit on board with Photon. I feel like Photon, Napadovsky, and Kardanov are, you know, our kind of 3 drivers to watch out for right now.
Yeah, and Photon already was on a 0.17 improvement at the end of Sector 1.
That's
so
putting him
we'll
on
see
the
what he can do.
borderline for 5th, roughly.
Oh, well, now it's a 0.25. So looking like a possible, yeah, 6th run here, if he can make it.
The final corner comes the Photon. What's it going to be across the line? As quick as a 27.1. 200ths off and 600ths ahead of Ballast Kevin. But Mark, 300ths up himself. He needs to find a 10th to jump ahead of Crew 6, who's just at a 27.29. Can Mark do it over the Japan bump and across the line? It's a 27.25. It will be enough for 6th place. But what can Napadovsky do? He's up into 7th.
Leopard, though. Leopard's on an improved time right now as he heads down the back straight. I'm going to have to interrupt you because I want to see how this lap ends. He's currently on 0.18 is how he's improving, and I think if he's able to improve through the Casio chicane, that will put him in contention with Formula Danny. Oh!
I mean, he's right there. He is right there. As Photon... Oh, wait. Photon had already gone 3rd. So who just shot up? Was it those? No, Triton Lehman, I believe that was. Kardanov went 11th. So, you know, he's underperformed compared to what we were expecting from him. But that being said, you know, he's 2/10ths down from 3rd place. So it just kind of shows just how close this field is. From 3rd all the way down to 15th. Half a second separating these guys. It's insanely close out there.
Yeah, and the great news about that is that these guys are going to be so tight through these laps, and it won't just be a one of those races that just feels over by, you know, the end of the first few laps. We can have some real fantastic battles in the midfield here because everyone's so.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to bring up is we've seen Formula Danny from time to time, or he likes to play cat and mouse. He likes to say, hey, this race, oh, it's boring. It's an easy win. I'm going to make it entertaining. This is a 1-stop race. Okay, I'm going to do 2 stops. Let's see what happens. He just has that confidence about him. We saw him do that in Spa. It costed him the win. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the race. With everyone starting with soft tyres, maybe there is some rain forecasted. I'm not quite sure. But final confirmation of your top 3. Formula Danny from Leopard from Photon. And without a doubt, this race is going to be pretty nutty.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic to see as we will be still shortly heading into the race, and it's going to be action-packed, I hope. As well, it seems like we're qualifying at least.
With that said and done, we're going to head into a quick break. We'll be right back with all the action from round 17. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready for round 17 of the season. And our man in the pit lane, Black Panther, has a few words for us regarding the weather tonight.
So tonight it will stay all dry in the race, so we don't have to worry about weather conditions at all. Even though the Cody system can be like sometimes at the end show us some rain, even though Jeff doesn't tell us some rain, but I guess it will stay dry all race long. And also an update about Calcifer, he would have a quali ban, I think, so that's why he didn't put a lap on in the qualifying.
I believe that quali ban is for the incident with Hyper's last time out. But thank you very much for the information, Panther. We look forward to hearing from you with any information throughout the race. As Mr. Anchor, taking a while to load. Now, there have been some Codemaster bugs recently where one driver fails to load and the game kind of crashes. Hopefully, that's not going to be happening tonight here, Byron.
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate issue because if this loading screen issue happens, what typically happens is the player who is having a loading issue has to alt F4 out the game and they can't participate in the race, which is really unfortunate and we don't want that. I've experienced it before, so hopefully he'll load in and there won't be any issues, but from what it's looking like, I'm getting danger signs.
Yeah, and you know, even that solution of possibly just starting the lobby again and, you know, even forming the grid as it should be, it still takes away the fact that the drivers are supposed to be starting on those used up tires that they use in qualifying, with the exception of everyone below 10th place. So we'll have to see what happens. We'll stay tuned for now. Hopefully there can be some fix, but I'm pretty sure I saw a driver going down the start-finish straight, and I'm guessing that was Mr. Anchor. As is what usually happens while everyone else is forced to stay stationary and just watch one driver just do laps of a circuit.
Yeah, we've seen that happen before, but I think he will be forced to retire or they make a new lobby. I'm not sure exactly what Yamin's going to do in this situation, but it's not a great one, as you can imagine. But yeah, the good news is that bar this is going to be a fantastic race. We know that already. With I think there's going to be a great battle first and second between Formula Downy and Leopard. The midfield, as you said, is so incredibly tight that it really feels like one mistake and you're going to be down like 3-4 positions. So it's going to be a super exciting race. So just now waiting for it to get underway.
So while we're here, let's have some words in from some of our viewers over on YouTube. You know, which drivers are you here to support, or are you impartial? And in that case, who do you guys reckon is going to win? That being said, Byron, you know, your predictions for the top three?
Well, I think Formula Danny and Leopard are kind of a shoo-in. In terms of my third driver, it's very easy to go for Photon. This is a very important race in many ways, as he can secure the championship here, but only if he finishes 16 points above Navidovsky, which is going to be a very big challenge when first and second currently hold Formula Danny and Leopard.
Yeah, and
I think Photon might take it, though. I reckon he'll be the third place driver here.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to go different from you. I'm going to stick with Formula Danny Leopard. I'm going to go with Mark to take third place. That's going to be my guess. I think Photon will probably be though. But as you alluded to, how the championship currently stands, it is Photon who is 110 points ahead of Napadovsky. And after this race, with only 5 races remaining. That means there's a total of 160 points available, as we are seeing some drivers leaving the lobby, which I do believe means we will be getting an invite to a new lobby momentarily. But going back to the championship, that means that if Photon wins, Napadovsky must finish 6th. If Photon finishes 2nd, Napadovsky has to finish 9th. And if Photon finishes 3rd with the fastest lap, Napadovsky cannot finish inside the top
10. Oh, there we go. The stats for us there. And I think you are correct. It will be a soft restart. We'll be heading into another lobby here. And it's interesting because now the top 10, who were already looking very tightly packed, apart from obviously top 2, now are all going to be on the fresh tyres. So the people below them who might have had a little bit of a reprieve on that person in front of you has had a few laps on those softs. Now you don't get that reprieve anymore. It's going to be a real close one now, as thanks to that, I guess, addition that's happened here.
Yeah, and I guess we just have to wait for the new invites to come around. I might as well quit to main menu and wait for that to come through. That being said, though, I do think we have maybe a little bit more content we can talk about before delays might force us to a break. And I kind of want to look at Formula Danny a little bit more, because obviously, as I realize, you've never had the pleasure of casting on Formula Danny. So what I was alluding to earlier is Formula Danny is a man of many talents. We've talked about his singing. You know, there's a whole bunch of things. Formula Danny once was actually on the Hungarian X Factor, and there are videos of him singing. Oh, what was the song? Bruno Mars, "When I Was Your Man."
It's a good song.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean the song's amazing, but Formula Danny's rendition of it is perfect. So just a reminder to anyone tuning in, this is round 17 of the ORL season at Japan. Unfortunately, we've had a bit of a Codemasters bug, so we are being forced to restart the session. So we should be hopefully getting underway in about 10 minutes or so. Going back to Formula Danny, though, so what he likes to do is, if he doesn't feel, you know, he has a lot of competition, if he doesn't feel that, okay, he's in a race where people are on his tail battling him, he will do something interesting. He will do something to spice it up for himself and for us viewers as well. Whether that's go for a 2-stop strategy, whether that's pit ridiculously early or late. So I'm interested to see whether Leopard can force Formula Danny to stay on a good strategy, let's say, because that's effectively Formula Danny giving effectively a stamp of approval to Leopard.
I think he might be able to. I mean, you look at qualifying, they weren't too far off each other. So there is certainly a possibility. It just depends how much Danny can kind of crawl away, whether it's he's gaining maybe a 10th a lap, or if he's gaining 3/10 a lap. I think that's the big difference there, and whether or not Leopard can consistently keep up, because it's all fair and well you setting one quality lap near his. It's a big difference when you're talking about race pace. Now, Leopard has shown he is very fast within a race. The question is just whether he can also challenge Danny in that kind of race pace battle. If he can, then if Danny goes for a wacky strategy, he will be punished.
And of course, that battle for the lead is something that we're going to be having to keep an eye on, whether Formula Danny can pull out after those first laps, whether Leopard can stick within that DRS zone. And then we've got the battle for the midfield. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't remember what the qualifying results were. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it went something along the lines of Mark, Photon. No, wait, Mark.
Photon was third.
Okay, so Photon, Lehman, Mark, Kevin. Or am I just completely wrong?
I'll be honest, all I know is that it was so close that I'm not sure the qualifying positions are going to matter an insane amount, just because of how fast, how like bunched up they were. I mean, what was the stat? It was like 3rd to 10th or something like that, or over 0.2 seconds.
Yeah, it was nuts.
So the fact that everyone's so close in pace means that surely the grid means a lot, but because one mistake is going to matter a lot when you're so close in pace with people around you, I think it's going to be a lot more down to how these drivers consistently handle things like Suzuka S's, like if they can get a good out spoon, for example. And especially we saw in Sector 3 with the Casio Triangle, trying to get a good line out of there without spinning is going to be a different story in a race when you've got worn out tires compared to qualifying when you're on your fresh softs.
Yeah, Casio Triangle. They should probably rename that to the Bermuda Triangle, considering how easy it is to lose your back end through there. I want to take a look towards Cardinov again, because I want to know, I want to think or speculate even, is there more pace that he can bring along, or is that the max that he has? Is he going to be battling for that 10th place, or maybe not even, or will he be able to climb through the field and challenge for maybe a top 5?
And it all depends. There's a lot of hype around him, but you have to bear in mind that the hype can have an effect on people, whether or not it's people getting a little bit big for their boots and maybe not putting any amount of practice they should have, or alternatively, nerves can be a big factor that can play, especially in qualifying. I've experienced that myself even today, invalidating all my darned laps. It's a thing that can really affect you, and so it might be just a case of he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, it feels like, and Cardinov, he just needs to maybe have a breath or two, just kind of evaluate that maybe qualifying didn't go as well as he wanted it to. But there's no reason you can't climb those positions back in the race, especially considering how close that pack is in terms of pace, like we saw.
Yeah, and the final thing I want to bring up before we do push to a break, as it seems like we might be waiting a little bit longer. Our two drivers starting at the back of the grid, Calsfer and Nameless. Calsfer due a penalty. Nameless, I'm not quite sure. I think he might have joined the lobby a little late.
I think he retired.
Did he retire?
Start the session, yeah. I don't know what happened to him. He might have had a crash, or might have just wasn't able to for some reason. I don't know exactly, but I remember him retiring at the start.
So, I mean, Calcifer, he's our current champion. He is quick. He has pace. He has that consistency. He's had a lot of bad luck this year. But Nameless is quick. We've seen him win races this year, and we've seen him get seconds this year as well. So I think he could definitely be one to watch out for, chasing, carving his way through.
Yeah, and it'll just specifically get to kind of watch of Glee, as I'm sure because of how bunched up the pack I'm expecting it to be. Watching someone come from the back with that little bit more pace and seeing how they pick apart the people in front of them, it's always a fun thing to watch. Someone climb through the pack, and hopefully we get a good story like that with maybe Calcifer or Nameless, if they can put it out the back. But we'll have to wait and see, unfortunately, until the race starts, and looks like we're going to have a little bit of a wait.
On that note, then, we're going to be heading into a short break, guys. We do apologize for this inconvenience, but maybe it's a perfect time for you guys to grab a drink, grab some grub as well. We'll be right back after just a short. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for ORL round 17 here at Suzuka. I believe this is attempt number 3. The first lobby decided to blow up. Lobby number 2 we had to close and recreate. But we're back this time, Byron.
I believe the saying is third time is the charm, and we see it right here. Hopefully, people are gonna load in. I'm just praying. I think right now they're waiting for an kind of an all clear to start a session, as Casper is the first one to do so. We should see those spinning circles turn to nice little ticks as the timer counts down. And I hope to God they all do, because if they don't, we've got a problem on our hands.
Yeah, everyone loading their setups back in does mean that they could be changing that setup ever so slightly, but it does mean that it's time to go and me to do my weirdo intro to set up for that highlights reel, as we're just waiting for, apparently it's Calcifer. I mean, the first one to get ready is now the one we're waiting for. I'm just praying to God that that turns into a tick sometime very, very, very soon. Or maybe not.
Oh no! Oh no!
Did we cast the cursor? Oh no.
Codes.
So oh no! I just saw a driver driving off on the start-finish straight.
Oh.
I guess we have to head over to our analyst in the pit lane, Black Panther. Do you have any update on when the Codemasters may fix their game?
Oh,
No,
sorry.
I think Panthers. He's just gone and jumped. He's done.
I think he's.
Yeah, I lost my words here. This game is unbelievable.
I think he may have phased out of reality, as that wouldn't surprise us considering it's Cody's.
There's
I think
nothing
it's
to say.
for next year.
Next year.
We have to wait another year. So,
When
yeah.
what is it?
That-
Mad Gaming takes over, or they take over Mad Gaming? Oh no.
That's right. We're going to be having an update in the F1 2020 game coming out next summer.
Yeah.
Well, they're still on holidays, I think, so that's why the bug is.
I tell you what I am hyped for, if we're going to go a little bit off topic,
Yeah.
is the new regulations coming in 2021. Like, those
Ooh.
cars look, ooh, they look spicy.
They do. They look really nice. As I've seen a few images, not a lot, but I guess good things are coming for 2021. Let's just hope that it means that drivers can actually overtake.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they were talking about, because they're getting rid of most of the dirty air issues that they had. As people are leaving the session,
Oh no.
third time was not the charm. Oh yeah.
Right. This is the point where we go and look in the online racing in the ORL Steam group, and it's just everyone saying, "What on earth is happening?" And yeah, literally the only situation that would solve this is if the driver who's still spinning around and around all F4s. But you know, last race it was Mr. Anchor. This time it's Calcifer, and it's almost just random. It's just sporadic who it might be, and no driver wants to be the one who is effectively forced to say, "Yeah, I'm not going to race. I'm not going to take any points. You guys have fun without me."
Yeah, exactly. It's a real tough crossfire. It's happened in one of my F2 races a few days ago, and it was a big standoff between everyone saying we want to start a race, and the other person saying, "Well, I also want to race." So it's not really an issue you can solve. You just have to hope that either it fixes itself and you restart the lobby, or someone becomes the sacrificial lamb. I'm just hoping that it isn't someone who's kind of key for our kind of narratives coming in. Like, if someone like Leopard or Danny is stuck out, then all of a sudden, you know, it feels a little bit, like that. Like, no, I'm saying it's sad that if anyone leaves, but it would be extra unfortunate, I guess.
Yeah. Because we're both elite casters, and you know that feeling like when you've got a load of viewers on your stream and you're like, oh, this is like a new kind of high point of viewers, and then you get a big game pause that lasts for like 10 minutes, and you just kind of
Oh.
look at Twitch as your viewers starts crashing down. And this is why the F1 community is better than the League of Legends community, because actually, since the pauses have started, our views have gone up. So,
Hey, what's up,
big
guys?
faith. Maybe this is due to our fans being used to F1 races where nothing happens. So, this pause is practically the same as a race at Monaco.
Funnily enough, I think my first cast was the one I did with most viewers. Like my first one had 110. I don't know
Damn.
how. I know because it was. It was for a league called War Rivals, who were linked with the organization Wind and Brain, and so I started little like 17-year-old in his first little cast, really not knowing what he's doing in front of like 110 people.
Wow.
But I mean, well, it was fun to start like that. And, yeah, I mean, I'm glad to make the move over to F1 though, because if this is what we've got installed, then it's no different from League. It's just pauses, but on a whole new level.
Oh God. I mean, there's just no words for it. It's dumb. And I was saying to some of the guys, hopefully that we don't get what actually happened to Panther. He was doing a Christmas race, and does everything. He's spinning on the formation lap, and we're like, okay, what on earth is Panther doing? Why is he spinning like every corner at Monza? Starts the race with 2 punctures because Cone Masters are being Cone Masters.
That is unfortunate, man. So now I guess we just wait patiently for another lobby to get set up. I know it's really a fix. You just gotta keep kind of taking shots in the dark until one hits.
Are you still on that race with the spinning circle of Calcifer, or have you exited?
No, I dipped out as soon as I saw the amount of people starting.
Same here. I hope they haven't actually stayed and the race just went on without us knowing. That would be rather evil. But yeah, there's not too much more to say. We've been doing a good job stalling, I feel, but this is the end where I'm flicking through my sheets. I've got no filler material left right now.
Well, I've got chips.
Okay.
But I can't really share them out, unfortunately, because you can't pass. So that is unlucky. But we are at the point now where I'm talking about my dinner, and things are getting desperate when I'm talking about my dinner.
I mean, people have been talking about what great stuff is coming in 2020. I almost said 2020. That's how used to saying.
Whoa! Dude, I wonder what F1's going to be like in 2020. That's hovering F1 cars going at like 500 mile an hour or something like that.
You say that. I think I want my cars to be on the ground. I'm quite a down to earth kind of guy. I want to stick to that.
Sorry, my head's in the clouds, man. My head's in the clouds.
Right. But no, I was saying, how people are saying what's going to be different in in 2020 to the 2010s. And yes, we've seen lots of crazy memes, but you mentioned that I think there's going to be like some teleporter device. As you mentioned, you're having some chips. I want a chip. Just pass it through the teleporter device. Maybe I like pull it through my computer, and I eat one of these chips. That would be pretty awesome.
I wish that existed. Teleportation is a little bit hard though. I don't think they've managed. I think they tried something like that, but they weren't able to make it work. Or if they did, they got like a P and like replicated it somewhere else. But haven't seen too much from there. I'd say what I am hyped for in the near future though, because going back onto the kind of topic of 2021 F1, I'm so looking forward to the new drivers who are all going to start maturing for the era. You got like Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, Russell, Albon, Ocon, etc. Like it's going to be so fun to see those drivers battle out on the grid. I'm so looking forward to this kind of new generation.
I've got good news and I have bad news.
Okay, we'll end on a high. Let's give me the bad news first.
Okay, so the bad news is because I have all my notifications disabled, I don't see new messages unless it's someone I already had their tab up of.
Okay. What's the good news from that?
Ballast Kevin sent me an invite to the new lobby.
Hey.
So, yeah, I guess it's an overall win. Let me just set myself up to spectate. Hopefully, we said third time's a charm, but I was counting that weird kind of lobby switch, but this is actually the third time we're going on the grid. So this is definitely third time. If this isn't the charm, nothing's the charm. We might as well just call off the day.
Third time didn't work, guys. It's done so. Oh, man.
Yesterday. As in, Calcifer sent me an invite. I'm sorry, Calcifer, you're too slow. Ballast Kevin is quicker to it. He's the real. Okay, I don't know. I'm desperately running out of material right now. Did you get the
I'm
invite?
in the lobby in as well.
What
Someone.
beverage have you guys got next to you right now? What I can ask? What? I'm interested. I just looked at my drink and I was like, I've only got like cordial.
I've got
Like-
nothing.
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 You're a mad lad casting with no drink.
I thought we would have finished by now.
Sounds like a you problem.
I mean, for all of those guys who remember Austria last year, the hypest moment that has occurred on ORL. I lost my voice on the last lap.
Oh no.
As a Formula Danny and Williams Isaac Price battled it out. Formula Danny doing his crazy, 2-stop strategies to
More.
make the race spicy. Decided to, I'll leave it until the last lap to catch up to Isaac Price. And they went side by side for about half a lap. And Formula Danny race. So yeah, it was hype. My first time actually commentating on any esports driver.
Ooh, Pog.
Yeah.
I guess this would be my first time commentating on an esports driver then. So hopefully it'll be as hype, if not more.
Yeah, multiple. Actually, wait, multiple? No, just one esports driver. It's just Formula Danny. Yeah, I guess you could say Mark and Leopard are borderline, as is Cardinov. So say 3.5 as Black Panther is getting very scared because there are people starting to join the lobby, and he wants to stay in the lobby.
Oh dear God, please let me in.
Oh. Right.
Also, getting the info from my man in the pits. What drink do you have?
I have the one and only Coca-Cola Zero Sugar.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm prepared.
He has the refreshing taste of Coke to back him up. It's great. Not affiliated, by the way, not sponsored. But
Why am I? Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say how funny it was that we're talking about drinks right now because you've run out. It's completely run out of material.
For some reason, when you said zero sugar, all that popped into my mind is like, as more and more environmental changes come in, we have to get cleaner and cleaner. So we're going to start having like Castrol, zero oil, or oil-free oil for F1 cars. Yes, Castrol is literally the only oil brand I can think of right now.
Man.
Right, everyone's in the lobby. No drivers are ready, but
Not everyone yet, I think. We're
Well,
waiting
we've
for
lost a
just
few,
one
right?
guy.
we're waiting for one more, unless two people
I
have
think
literally
so.
bit the bullet and said they don't want to rejoin. Because
Oh,
it's late for them.
okay, never mind then.
I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing.
But
Guesstimating?
who would quit it then?
You know what we should have done, guys? We should have just done our own 3-man race, and then just hopped on over in here.
Yeah. Great.
I should have drived with a.
It's like the MilkyCereal tour of Suzuka.
Oh yes. Do you remember back from what was it? The YouTuber champion or the co-op championship that Tiamat Marduk and Arava did, where they had Arava's or Arab's wildlife tour at Mexico.
Please explain, because I didn't get to watch that.
Okay, so they're back in 2015, I believe. There were two. One, my favorite one, Benjamin Daly, aka the God, Tiamat Marduk himself, and then you had the second best YouTuber, who was Arava. Both of them currently with Veloce at the moment. So they were doing. This was back when F1 had co-op championship. You could race with other people online in a championship against the AI. Wow, I hear you say, why don't F1 games have it now? We don't know. So heading into Mexico, Araf had a few issues and had a few spins. So he couldn't be bothered anymore because he was at the back. So he started tooting around and stopping on the grass and just telling all his viewers the wonders of the Mexico track. And he was like, over there you can see the stand, blah, 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 where this happened to do this. It was actually quite funny. I recommend giving it a watch.
Shoot me that link after the race. But the good news is that we are now. Hopefully, I'm praying to God. I don't normally turn to faith, but I am praying to God right now.
I mean, you know what they say. When it all goes down the gutter, that's when you turn back to God. But not gonna lie, if it goes into another break, I don't care about copyright. I'm pulling that link up and I'm showing the Arab Wildlife Tour.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've had to start recording, stop recording, and then start recording again in, you know, to get ready for what may be coming. So now I probably have like two you know, half a gigabyte files just with us just stalling about stuff for some unknown amount of time. As the spinning circles are out, someone has pressed a tick. Is Ballas Kevin? Please, for the love of God and all that is holy, do something, as we've got an update from our man in the pit lane.
Endinator will start on the medium tires, as I can see it from the race director. So will be the top 11 guys. Only Triton Matthias will start at the soft tires from outside of the top 10. So this will be really interesting to see.
Okay, we'll have to see how that plays into effect as...
Yes!
Hey! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get going. Round 17 of the championship. In case you guys are watching the YouTube highlights and you're wondering why we're so happy, we've had about 20, 30, maybe 40... You know, we've been here for 2 years waiting for Codemasters to work so that we can get into this game. But it's finally time, so let's run you through that grid order. Formula Danny takes pole. As usual, he returns for the Japanese Grand Prix as Leopard takes second, and a Photon and a Ballas Kevin. Stones takes fifth in the Mercedes ahead of Andinator as a Layman and a Mark round out the fourth row of the grid. Napadovsky and Krusik complete the top 10 as Kardanov joins us for his debut ORL Grand Prix. He's going to be one to watch out for as ERL Bulkson sits in 12th ahead of Mr. Anker, Matthias and Leonard. Jake takes 16th as Carlsfer and Nameless did not make any qualifying laps. They'll be starting at the back of the grid. In the Drivers' Championship, Photon leads with 235 points. He has a chance to win the championship tonight. Hypers is in second, but he's excluded from the rest of the season. Napadovsky in third, with Layman and Formula Danny fourth and fifth. Mark sits in sixth, with Leopard in seventh. Matthias in eighth. Hayes in ninth, and on 52 points in 10th is Nameless. Byron, would you be so kind to take us through those constructors' standings?
I will be so kind. In first place, we have Toro Rosso on 266 points. Second place, we have Mercedes on 195. Only 15 points behind do we have Red Bull in third on 180 points. Williams in fourth on 146 points. Scuderia Ferrari in fifth place with 125. Alfa Romeo Racing, not known as Sauber, Mr. Milky, and 103 points, sorry. McLaren in 7th, the one-man team on 93 points. Renault on 73 points. Haas on 69 points. Nice. And rounding off the table as Racing Point in 65th. Well, 65 points.
In 65th. That's a lot of teams in the standings, Byron. Confirmation of the tyres as Panther put out for us. All of the top 10 on softs. Everyone else on mediums except Leonard. Photon needs to pick 16 points more than Napadovsky to seal the title tonight. It's all on the cards. Formula Danny, our familiar face on a pole. We know how quick Leopard is. We'll have to see what will be happening down into turn 1. 27 laps. It is a longer race. The 5 red lights are coming up, and it's going to be time to go racing as the revs rise, and away we go for the 17th time this season. Formula Danny gets a good start, but the Alfa Romeo of Ballas Kevin not getting the best of starts, and round the outside actually goes one of the Mercedes as Photon has a little look at Leopard, but he's not going to be able to make anything work as Zones and Layman sit 4th and 5th. Andinator takes 6th ahead of Napadovsky, Marks Krusik as Kardanov makes big gains. He's up into 10th place with Matthias in 11th.
Yeah, Kevin unfortunately loses it at the start of the Suzuka Grand Prix and is now sat at the back of the grid. Not good news for him, but still very, very close for the rest of the pack. As even at the back, we're getting some very nice balance here with Nameless trying something here on Calcifer. But see if he's able to make it happen. Does not look like it so far.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Nameless and Calcifer possibly having a bit of a ding-dong battle. We know that Nameless was going to be one of our drivers to be climbing through the order and potentially going into Spoon. No, he's going to decide better of it. Our big losers, as you mentioned, Mr. Anchor, Ballast, Kevin dropping down to the back of the grid. Your big winners, Matthias and Leonard, as well as the second Triton driver of Lehman up in 5th place. And Napadovsky, as I saw a couple of cars side by side, that is Kardanov and Matthias, as Matthias picks up the position round the outside into the Casio triangle, and he'll make it work up into the point for the Triton driver.
Oh man, well done to him there. And now, oh, the telemetry is having a little bit of a mirth on my side, but cut off. He might look for something here, but then again, it's the S's, so unless you got some sort of madman, I don't think you're going to be looking for something there.
Yeah, we've got our S's
Ooh,
madman.
Lehman.
Oh, Lehman, yeah, actually.
Really.
As a moment, he was right on the back of zones, and he's dropped back just a little bit. And now it's still Formula Danny leading from Leopard, who is within that half a second gap. Photon starting to fall back with zones in 4th, and as we mentioned, Lehman in 5th place. But Krusik a little bit close to Mark. He was one driver that we were, you know, kind of hopeful for, expectant to see how we could do after showing a lot of pace, especially in those early stages of qualifying.
Yeah, exactly, and it is that every single driver now is kind of settled into a pace now. Clear gaps are kind of appearing, so it's now going to start becoming more of a question of not just sneaking positions now. Now that we're in lap 2, but it's going to be a lot more about the consistent racing and how they hold their current positions, because everyone should be fairly secure on where they are right now. However, eyeing up Matthias's rear here.
Yeah, I don't know. Just take a look at this, as this is kind of the second gaggle of cars, with Matthias leading that battle for the final point of the races. We have some news from Black Panther in the pit lane.
Yes, Mr. Anka did pitted in the first lap due to a contact in turn 1 right at the start. I don't know who was at fault, but I know he had some wing damage at the right, so he had to pit for another front wing.
Right, thanks for that, Panther. Napadovsky, he has got Mark right on his tail, and we saw these guys battling back at Russia last time out. Feels so long ago, and in fact it was quite long ago. It was before our Christmas break, but Mark will be looking for any way through, as it looks like there's almost contact between the pair of them. They make their way through the hairpin. DRS hasn't been enabled, but once that comes on next, well, it's on now, and they should be having that down the back straight. So let's see if we're going to be seeing any switcheroos for position here in this battle for 6th place.
Yeah, very, very tightly packed 6th through 8th. As I'll have to see if anything happens. I don't think we'll, but keeping your eyes on the front 2 here, Leopard has made up a lot of distance and is hot chasing Formula Danny.
Leopard is quick, and he is not giving Formula Danny any breathing room, and he's dragging Photon along with him. It's still Formula Danny from Leopard from Photon as we enter lap 4. Then there's a bit of a gap to zones, and Andinator, who according to our graphic is 1 lap down, but we know that that is not the case.
Yeah, and one other thing to point out is look at the ERS. Danny has already burnt nearly half of his tank of ERS there, whereas Leopard still sitting at 86%. Means that he's going to have a lot more firepower to really use on Danny in the upcoming lap.
Yeah, and especially with DRS enabled now, you can just unload all of that, and the power of Slipstream, as you mentioned, just allowing him to save that little bit of ERS. But I think, you know, we've got the two, maybe 3-way battle for the lead, and now this battle that's starting to emerge for 5th place as Lehman backing up into Andinator and Napadovsky here.
Yeah, he is, and look how close all these drivers are. They're all going to be looking for that one opportunity just to sneak ahead. And we'll see if Mark can do it, as Lapadovsky is right in front of him. He will be getting that slipstream. The DRS will be available. He might look for something here of it. I don't think he's going to be close enough.
A little bit too far back. He'll hold on to 8th place for now, but you know, it's this point where I keep switching. You know, do we look at the top 3? Do we look at the others? And no matter where you go, you always seem to end up missing something. Into lap 5 still. Formula Danny from Leopard from Photon, and now this is well and truly a 3-way battle for the lead of the race.
Yeah, Kardinov has just overtook Matthias to get himself into the top 10. But considering where we thought he'd be, we thought possibly some sort of resurgence after qualifying during the race, but he's still only in that P10 position despite our expectations for him.
Yeah, and we talked in qualifying that this track is difficult to overtake at. We saw it in the esports series in Kardinov. He got caught out by Matthias on that opening lap, but lost the position heading through 130R into the Casio Triangle, but he's finally broken free. And now let's just see how quickly he can catch on to the back of this battle. And as we say that, Kruzik's getting very close to the back of Mark.
Yeah, he really is, and it's this train of cars here that could create some action for us in the next lap. Keep in mind, all of the people in this train as well on the same tyre strategy, starting on the softs. So you have to keep that in mind. The pit times are going to be a really cool thing to see, because there's a chance that someone tries to pit early and goes for a fast lap, trying to get.
And as you mentioned, that Andinator gets the first time penalty off the race as Formula Danny starting to stretch his legs with a new fast lap off the race of 1:30.8. Let's take a look at Kardinov. He's already pulled out a half a second gap, and 2.6 seconds is the gap between him and Kruzik. So keep an eye on how that changes over the course of the race, as someone picked up a penalty, but I didn't quite catch who that was. I'm not sure if you saw, Byron.
Let's have a quick look. Can I get a cheeky look? Yep, it's a multiple warnings for Mr. Anker. He got 3 seconds for that one. Same with it was the same deal with what's his name? Give me a sec. Trying to navigate the race director. Yeah, Antonator and Mr. Anker both have 3 second time penalties for multiple warnings, which I imagine is based on corner cutting.
Yeah, it would have to be, unless maybe there was, you know, a warning for contact on that lap 1. There always seems to be someone who gets caught out. Calcifer and Nameless, they are up into 14th and 15th, kind of dragging each other along. Actually, Jake and Nameless might be having a bit of a ding-dong battle here. Side by side, they go into Spoon. Nameless down the inside. He'll pick up the position. Can Jake get the cutback? No, he cannot. And Nameless should have that one done and dusted.
Not played by him, but keep your eyes on the top here, because Leopard, he's still so close, and I can't shake this ERS advantage off. I think it could be so important. The fact that Formula Danny's burnt so much. Look, now he's only on 30%. Is he going to be able to hold for this entire race? I don't know if he's going to be able to, I'll be honest. Leopard's really pushing this esports level driver.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, as there's a move down behind Andinator and Mark side by side into the Senna S's, or the Suzuka S's, whatever they're called. Mark can't quite get the move to work, and that's Andinator up into 7th place.
And that's a big move for him there. It was very close. But keep in mind, Kruzik has just seen this, and he might just think, okay, someone else has been able to overtake. Let's see what I can do.
As Mr. Anker's left the session, so I'm not quite sure if he had an accident or something and then retired, but that's one less driver in the race, as we are down to just 17 now. Yeah,
we are, and now Photon is actually very nicely closing up on the top 2. It is a tight podium here, as they are all within about 0.4 seconds of each other.
This is great battling as Leopard goes a little bit defensive. Nose to tail through 130R, and Photon might be having a go. He's right on the tail, down the inside, there's almost contact. Leopard will hold on to the position. Formula Danny holds on to first, but look how close Photon is onto Leopard as we make our way down the start-finish straight.
Oh, this is an epic battle. Photon tries to lift from the inside. In fact, Leopard's making a move right now into turn one.
I think there's a bit of contact. Formula Danny gets pushed out wide. Leopard is leading the Grand Prix. That's 4 times in a row we've been able to say that. Great battling between the 3 of them, and glad to see no one ending off crying in the gravel traps.
Yeah, but those contacts, I'm sure, will get looked at. Photon made a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a sloppy move, but he was certainly looking for something. And Leopard right there, like you said, might have been contact as well. So we'll see what happens from those. Because of this now, Zones, Layman, Davidovsky, they're all starting to catch up to these 3. And this battle continues. In fact, Zones, oh, he looks something there. This could become a much closer race at the top than what we really thought.
Yeah, and now we have got that DRS train emerging. The question is, you mentioned Leopard had this ERS, but take a look at the ERS now. Leopard on 80%, Formula Danny on 60%. The question is, can Leopard pull away? Does he have the pace to pull away from such a quick driver, one of the fastest drivers in the world?
I mean, look at the gap already extending. Formula Danny 0.8 seconds behind Leopard. If he can find some more attempts as all Leopard, he gets a 3-second time penalty. That is heartbreaking for him right there, as I'll give that a quick check on the race director. I can confirm he does have a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He has corner cut a few too many times. And same with Mark 313, has also got a 3-second time penalty now.
But with that being said, though, we've got our first drivers into the pits. Lehman, Napadovsky, Krusix, and Bog. They've all dived in for those medium set of tyres. So now the question remains, the question is here, are we going to be able to see them being able to pull out that undercut?
That is the question, as I will take it to our man in the pit lane, who is our expert in this.
I'm not sure if they will make the undercut work, because these guys are rapid in the front and they are all in the DRS. Only Endinator and Cardinov are like 2 seconds off the top 4, but let's see if they can undercut the top 5 or not.
Thanks.
Yeah, you make a good point there, because Cardinov, I was just talking about how he was kind of disappointing me, and all of a sudden he's in 6th place because of this.
But we'll have to take a look at how that all develops out after the pit stop. That being said, though, remember Cardinov is on those medium tyres, and we know how much quicker it is when you are on that alternate strategy.
Yeah, is Kevin looking to see if he can overtake Jake here? They're both on 8-lap.
Our race leader is into the pits with Photon behind. Zones and Andone to peel in as well as Leonard, not to be confused with a Leopard. He picks up a 3-second time penalty.
That is unlucky, but now Cardinov has found himself in P2. Obviously, will still have to pit, but has a little bit of a break for himself. But just look at the gap between Cardinov and Formula Danny right now. Obviously, there's a tyre difference, but it's going to be so hard for Cardinov to try and breach that gap.
Precisely, but this is interesting now because Formula Danny's in clear air, Leopard's in clear air. No DRS for either of them. They've got no one chasing them down. This is a pure fight in terms of pace. Who can pull out a little gap? Can Formula Danny find the overcut as behind? We're seeing something happening. Bollickson's into the wall. That's into Degner too. Has there been contact? But that's Bollickson's race over and done as he retires from the session. His ghosting car will rejoin, and that might be a post-race penalty coming his way for what does appear to be a bit of a rage quit.
Yeah, can't be doing that. Unfortunately for him, though, as he is now out of the race, only 17 drivers left. Actually, wait, no, Anker's out too, you're right. There's only 16 drivers left in this race now, and it's only going to get tighter now that these tyre strategies start to kind of overlap. as a fastest lap for Formula Danny. He sees this big gap, this big opening on his own, and he's going for it.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can get some comparison from the pit lane as to what the Sector 2 and Sector 3 times are looking like, because Formula Danny is rapid, but obviously we can't see a comparable lap time yet from Leopard, as he did just come out of the pits this time round.
Oh, and Kevin, what's happened? Oh, he's into the pits. Oh.
Is it?
Put it crashed now.
As Zones, he's come out of the pits. He's come out just ahead of Lehman. So that is vital for him that he comes out in that fresh air. He was ahead of Lehman before the pits, and he should be able to try to pull a bit and catch back up to the back of Photon, who he was behind before the first pit stops came in.
Yeah, and now the big thing to note is that look at the gap that's developed purely between Leopard and Photon. They were so close to each other, but after these pits, Photon is now stuck 3 seconds behind. Leopard has made a fantastic run for himself, and he is going to be targeting Formula Danny, who will need to pit soon. He's got 10 laps on these softs. They're not going to last for much longer.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to bring up is Photon has dropped a lot of time. Is that all down onto Leopard's pace, or maybe Photon did get held up a little bit in the pits, as it can happen. That being said though, if Leopard did just pull away that much with those soft tyres, is Formula Danny going to do the same thing? He hasn't come into the pits this time round, and Leopard coming through the Casio triangle. Let's just compare what his lap time is, because if this is not a fastest lap, the undercut will not be working for him.
Yeah, he got 113. The fastest lap is still with Leopard. He got a 134.75. Leopard on those mediums, those fresh mediums, doing a very good job, and that's going to worry you if you're Formula Danny, because you're in the lead right now, you've gone for the softs, you stayed out in the faster tyre, and now the driver here you're trying to undercut has just got a fastest on the mediums. That is, you could argue, a disaster. You could argue that.
And Formula Danny, if I'm not mistaken, he's set at 30.8, so he's losing near on half a second. The good thing for him is he has a massive 3.5 second window that he can feed out in between Leopard and Photon. So even if he does come out behind, he's got slightly fresher tyres, and he should be able to close that gap back down.
That is the hope. We'll just have to see when he wants to pit in. As now Leonard Kardinov and Matthias all seem to be quite close to each other here, as Leonard has received another 3 second time penalty actually, for multiple warnings.
Jake, 3 and a bit seconds ahead of Leopard, who's making inroads. These guys are teammates, and you know, if we're seeing these soft tires go about 10 laps, then the medium should be going at least to about lap 15-16. Mark picks up a time penalty, but crucially, Formula Danny's into the pits.
He is now, so all eyes on Leopard. Can he get out ahead? That is the question we're all asking right now.
There's Danny, he's coming out of the pits, but he's too far behind. Danny's going to feed out into 7th place. He has 3 lap fresher tyres. But the question is that going to be enough to close in onto Leopard? He's 1.8 seconds down, and he really needs to be able to utilize these, you know, how a fresh set of tyres has that little bit of extra bite. He needs to get within that 1 second and be able to stick within that DRS zone. Otherwise, maybe Leopard will be able to run away with this.
Yeah, that is the worry. And Danny, this is where you start pulling up that esports pedigree. We've been talking about it, how strong you are as a driver. It's your stage to prove it. There's no more silly strats anymore. You're going to have to get your head down and race for your life.
Meanwhile, at the front, or what is provisionally the front, Matthias and Kardinov on the medium compound of tyres. Got 5 drivers who are on those mediums, as Jake picks up a 3 second time penalty. Don't forget, guys, if any driver picks up 5 time penalties from corner cuts, they do get excluded from the results at the end. That is something else to keep your eye on. But also, I just want to point out, Nameless and Carlsberg, they started right at the back of the grid, and they're 2 seconds apiece from Matthias and Kardinov, who started around that 10th place spot.
Yeah, that is good news for them. The worry is when they pit, how far are they going to drop back, because it's still fairly close between everyone behind them. So I mean, you actually see that Leopard's catching Jake right now, I believe. So the worry is, if Leopard goes and catch Jake, who's still on those mediums from the start, who hasn't even pitted yet, then what does that mean for the likes of Calcifer and Nameless? When they're going to drop back and go into the pits, how far are they going back? Will they reset back to their positions at the back, or will they land somewhere in the midfield?
Yeah, but then again, you know, we saw back at Russia when it was our current man who's challenging for the win, when Leopard did go from those mediums to soft, how quickly he was able to catch up on the soft tires. It was, you know, just one lap and he was straight back up there. So we do have to watch out for them in those latter stages of the race.
However, there is good news for fans of Formula Danny. He's already within 1 second of Leopard now. He is in that DRS zone, so Leopard's going to have to be so careful now.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it, Byron. This is the time for Formula Danny to pull out that esports pedigree. Well, he's gone and done that right back on the tail of Leopard, and with a fresher tyres, no less. And he's going to have a go into, the switcheroo down the inside into the Casio triangle. Formula Danny sells Leopard a dummy, and Leopard laps it up as Formula Danny reclaims what is the effective lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. But Leopard has the DRS.
No.
He's going right back at this. It's a new fastest lap from Formula Danny, but that doesn't matter. These guys are having a proper scrap here.
Oh, and it's fantastic to see these two drivers so closely matched. In fact, both drivers have burnt so much just to stay in the pace of each other that I'm so excited to see what happens next, because they don't have many places where they can burn their ERS anymore.
Yeah, and, you know, Photon, he must be seeing this and thinking, come on, Battlemore, let me catch back up. I want to be part of this fight. And as we mentioned, if Photon takes the third and gets the fastest lap of the race, can win the championship if Napadovsky finishes outside of the points, which at the moment Napadovsky is. So there is potential here for Photon to pick up the championship as well.
Yeah, there really is. And Napadovsky, he's already in 11th, but also keep in mind he has that 3-second time penalty that will weigh down on his time as well. So Photon does have a chance, but he needs to see if he can get past the two giants in front of him, and right now he's 3 seconds clear of them.
Now, Formula Danny right on the tail of Leopard. Will we see him sell the same dummy that he did last time? No, he's going to stick behind, but Leopard is just outside of that 1 second go zone to Jake, as Nameless will be the first of the medium tire runners to dive into the pits.
There he goes.
Oh, here we go, though. Formula Danny and Leopard into turn one, side by side. Leopard is not going to give Formula Danny an inch, and Leopard holds on to the position as they enter the Suzuka S's.
Oh, and this is just such a treat of a battle to watch. Each lap they are going at it, and it is fantastic. Just simply fantastic to watch.
Absolutely fantastic battle. Hopefully, maybe for season 12, both of these guys will be regulars, because honestly, if this was a championship battle going all the way through the season, that would... I get goosebumps thinking about it right now. But crucially for Leopard, he has a DRS on Jake, and that's going to make it that little bit trickier, that little bit tougher for Formula Danny to find a way past.
Yeah, it will, but you also got to keep in mind once he will have that DRS, we'll start having that toe. He's going to have to pass Jake if he wants to keep his pace up. And that's where issues start if Jake wants to try and defend.
And don't forget as well, Formula Danny with no time penalties. Leopard has a 3 seconds worth. So as things stand, Formula Danny is going to win anyway. But we know Formula Danny, he does not accept wins like that. He wants to win on the track. He wants to get it in every way possible.
Yeah, exactly. And now Leopard, after getting a nice down, his rival will nicely pit in front of him, and he's back leading the race. For how long is the question, is Formula Danny will certainly not let him rest in that position.
Crucially though, that DRS that Leopard got from his teammate means that he will be able to head into turn one, let's say unchallenged at least. As let's just take a breather from those front guys, because Kardinov has just made a move on Mark. He's come out in front, he's just pitted onto those soft tires, and he's really going to be making inroads. He's got Andinator, Krusik, Napadovsky, and Lehman all ahead. And I actually think on these soft tires, he can go all the way up to zones in 4th place.
Yeah, that is a possibility. We'll just see what kind of things Cardinov can pull out here. There seems to be a battle down within, I think, for about P10. There's a nice train of people, all on different kinds of tires, and you've got Nameless at the back of this kind of train with his soft tires, of all the medium drivers in front of him. We'll see if he's able to make any moves.
But here's the thing, Byron, 10-car trains, those are heavy. We don't like heavy stuff. We like fast stuff because we have a two-way battle at the front once again. Look how close Danny is. Here we go into the Casio triangle. Danny will not sell the dummy this time. Nice and early onto the brakes. Doesn't want to ride into the back of Leopard. He learned from the first time he went for that dummy that Leopard would just get the DRS on the straight and then the move doesn't work out. You want to get DRS here. You want to have a shot, but Danny doesn't get the best of runs and he's going to have to hold on to 2nd place for now. Something I do want to bring up, and maybe Panther can allude on that for us, but do you think that we might just be seeing Formula Danny just sitting behind, saving up that ERS, so that when he does find a move, he can pull out a gap? As actually, we're going to hold that thought because Mark, I'm not quite sure what's happened. He's retired from the session, so I'm riding on board with Mr. Anchor, maybe to see if he can see what happened to Mark, but something's happened, and that is Mark out of the race.
Oof. I imagine he had a rough crash there, and that's unfortunate because he had a good qualifying session as well. We had a lot of promise for him, but unfortunately just botches it near the end.
Yeah, and Mark currently sitting 6th place in the championship. If Leopard wins, that's going to be him up into 6th place, and he'll jump ahead of the Ferrari driver. Even if Leopard gets 2nd, actually, he will still make that jump. Also, Formula Danny, he's going to be looking to jump ahead of Lehman in the championship. Maybe have a late season challenge for 2nd or 3rd in the championship. But it's Leopard and Formula Danny once again through 130. Formula Danny, I think he's going to have a go this time. But no, he's going to back out of it as take a look at that. There is a Toro Rosso closing in slowly but surely on these two.
Oh, there is as well. His name is Futon, the current champion.
Oh wait, round the outside into turn 1. Formula Danny's having a shot and he's going to look to get the slingshot out of 2. But he's just too far back as Cardinov sets a new fastest lap of the race. He's already within 4 seconds of Andinator as Calcifer improves upon that time. There's still Leopard from Formula Danny from Photon. Sorry to cut you off there, Byron.
No problem, no problem. It's all worth it if you want to commentate this battle because it is intense. And the thing is, I like going down, looking at what's happening here right now at the bottom of the board. Because right now, I mean, Cardinov and Name, we had a little chat about those people, and they are already starting to kind of. Cardinov just set as fast as that, but did get beat instantly. But still, the point stands that he's going incredibly fast, and he is very likely going to be able to catch up to the likes of Andinator, Krusik, possibly even Napadovsky.
Inside into the hairpin, turn 11, and that's a good move from Matthias. He's on those soft tires, and he needs to dispense with the medium runners as quickly as possible.
Look at the battle at the front. Formula Danny trying to take him on the straight. He has done so. Leopard is now behind Formula Danny. But can he make a move into the triangle? We'll see if he can. Does not look like it. And Formula Danny is able to get himself the race lead, which is so important for him. And now with that ERS advantage, we'll see if he's able to pull away. But Leopard will not have it.
DRS again for Leopard into turn 1. Danny's going to hold it around the outside, and he makes it work as well. Great stuff from the esports drivers. Danny reclaims the lead, and now that is essentially feeding Leopard to the sharks that be Photon and Zones.
Oh yeah, you are absolutely correct. I almost forgot about those drivers, but now Leopard needs to make sure it doesn't drop too far back because there are people waiting to take him down. However, I don't think Leopard's happy just sitting in 2nd. I think he really wants to push for this race a win. It's just whether or not he can. As Formula Danny now, he is looking to just fly off into the distance, into the sunset.
Yeah, and right as you said, you know, Leopard doesn't want to give this one up. He wants to push. He has a massive moment with that back end coming out of Degler too, and yeah, 100% right on that one, Byron. He wants to push, but just as we were kind of alluding to earlier, Formula Danny saved up a bit of hers. He's in a hot lap. He's going for this. He's gunning for this. He wants to pull that 1 second gap to Leopard as quickly as possible. He knows Leopard's quick. He doesn't want to battle anymore. He's saying, okay, I've had my fun battling. I know I won battles usually, but this was too much even for me. I'm gone, guys.
Peace. Dismiss though, even through that, he's... Oh, we just pipped it. But the DRS is still available for Leopard. It's whether or not Leopard can stay in DRS, because if he falls out of DRS, not only does he all of a sudden have a much harder time catching his Formula Danny, but then behind him, Photon will have the DRS, Zones have the DRS. He's going to get caught up if he doesn't keep up with Formula Danny. He needs to keep that pace going, and with only 20% ERS left, it's going to be so difficult.
Yeah, as we have some news from our pit lane correspondent, Black Panther.
Yes, the soft runner guys are making up places as Cardinov is now in P9 and overtook Leonard and the Alfa Romeo guy. So now it's up to Calcifer and Jake, and or they can if they can overtake those medium guys, and if Cardinov can make any more places up to Cruisix and Andinator.
Okay,
it should be kept in mind that Cardinov was about 2.5 seconds behind Cruisix. He's now about a second behind him, if that. He's making up that time so incredibly fast. But to keep in mind now, that is over a second between Formula Danny and Leopard. He does not have DRS available anymore. And just look at the time that Photon's gaining purely down this straight thanks to that DRS. He's catching up to Leopard.
We talked about drivers battling before and the effects on tyre wear. Photon, he hasn't had to do any battling on these mediums. These tyres are going to be so much nicer than Leopard's, and he has DRS on the start-finish straight. Leopard has a new challenger. Is he going to defend? No, he's not. Photon down the inside, and Leopard is going to have to settle for third place.
Oh, but will he? No, he will. Might have looked for something there, but is unable to. The good news is he's now within DRS and Zones behind. Suzuka has lost some time, which means that Leopard does not have to worry about anyone else catching him. And this kind of thing will mean that Leopard should be able to bounce back. The issue is, if Photon and Leopard just keep balancing it out, Formula Danny's happy to just run away with this race win. He's currently 1.8 seconds ahead of Photon, and that lead will keep climbing. He is done, quite frankly, as he said, with these battles. He wants to just finish in first.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that overtake that Photon pulled on Leopard, because Leopard didn't defend, and I think that might be the idea. Leopard knows, okay, if I battle like I did with Formula Danny, all that's going to happen is more people are going to close up. Maybe I'll let Photon through. I'll just stick behind, save up my hours, and final lap, penultimate lap, that's when I'm going to have a shot.
I mean, that's smart. As you see, yeah, he's saving his ERS through this straight as well. He's just looking really charge up so that in the last few laps he can make a massive push onto Photon. As Photon right now, he's burning a lot of ERS. He's into hot lap right now, trying to get away from Leopard, but I don't think he's going to be able to.
Fortunately for Photon, though, he gets the DRS from Mr. Anchor, who's ghosting car, still making his way around. Is actually behind. Got a bit of a battle going on. Andinator and Cruisix. Oh, sorry, Cardinov and Cruisix. That's Cardinov up into 8th place of, pardon me. And that's a good move as Cardinov making his way through the order. And you can see Andy's got Andinator right in front of him. And you can see his Russian teammate, or his Russian compatriot, Napadovsky, just up ahead. So 6th place definitely on the cards for Cardinov here.
Yeah, it really is. We'll see what can happen. And from my POV, he seems to be having some internet issues, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we'll see what Cardinov can do here, as he's so close to him.
Yeah, as Leonard picks up his third 3-second time penalty of the race. We are on lap 23 of 27 for those of you joining us. Formula Danny is leading. This is what we expected at the start. But oh my god, did he have to work for it. Leopard put up an absolutely insane fight. Now Photon and Leopard are battling for 2nd place. Zones is in 4th ahead of Lehman. Napadovsky 6th with Andinator 7th. There's a Cardinov making big inroads on the fresh soft tires.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, you were correct with Leopard saving his ERS. The issue with him doing that is that Zones is not range. He's using it on this straight. If you that means that Leopard has one more opponent.
And Leopard just picked a 5-second time penalty as well. As here we go in the battle for 6th place. Andinator 2 takes a look around the outside, but Napadovsky covers him off as Cardinov just watches eagerly, just waiting for something to potentially happen. But it's Napadovsky from Andinator, from Cardinov, and Kruzix in the battle for 6th place.
It is indeed. It's so close, and really it's anyone's game to get this 6th now. It's just depending on how hard people can defend, if you find that little bit of overtake. Is actually Photon starting to break away from Leopard here. Leopard might have to start pushing again, bearing in mind only a few laps left of the race. So if Leopard wants to get P2, he's going to have to do it soon.
Yeah, and don't forget, he's got some big time penalties on him. I don't think Zones has... Okay, Zones has a 3, so Leopard will drop 5 seconds behind Zones, so probably going to drop behind Triton Lehman as well here. So, you know, he needs to find something. Meanwhile, the battle for 6th place still ongoing, and Cardinov struggling to find a way through on Andinator, as Andinator just has that slipstream on Napadovsky, but this might be a chance. Cardinov will look down the inside into the Casio triangle. There's a bit of contact, more contact as they kind of glitch through each other, and that's Andinator off. And I don't know, I don't really know. I think Andinator squeezed Cardinov into the right-hander. And then there was that weird glitching, so I don't know how it looked on the driver's perspectives, but that's Andinator out of the top 10 and Cardinov up into 7th place.
Yeah, I mean, did seem like he didn't spot Cardinov maybe coming in, and did turn into him a little bit too early. However, now Cardinov will be able to start pushing Napadovsky. Bear in mind, Napadovsky, he's on 16-lap-old mediums, whereas Cardinov on these 8-lap-old softs. So we'll be able to really push Napadovsky here in these last few laps. Quick update on the kind of top, the battle for 2nd, I would say, is Zones is really catching on Leopard here with 3 laps remaining. And all of a sudden, I'm getting worried for Leopard's chances here. I mean, he was sat there battling for 1st, and now it just feels like he's slowly dropping down the pecking order. Sure, he has a bit of ERS, he's starting to use it, and he is gaining onto Photon now.
Just keeping an eye here on Cardinov, who's right on the tail of Napadovsky. Anchors ahead that will be giving some DRS onto the start-finish straight. Let's see if Cardinov can have a go into the Casio triangle. He won't be able to pull it off, but onto the start-finish straight. He is right up the chuff of the Red Bull. Napadovsky has a bit of a moment, and I think this has to be Cardinov picking up the position. Napadovsky did get DRS, and now Cardinov round the outside into turn 1. Oh, these guys have a lot of practice from racing in the Russian league together. I believe they're 1st and 2nd in that league, but Cardinov makes the move work, and that's Cardinov up into 6th place.
Well played to him there. Very nice from him. I want to bring this back, though. I mean, actually, Kruzix is getting close to Napadovsky as well. I'm worried you might start dropping through the order. However, battle for 2nd, heating up. Only 2 laps remain. Leopard 0.5 now up of Photon, and
Formula
Zone's
Danny's made a
0.3
mistake,
behind.
though, because Photon is back within a 2nd of Formula Danny, and he was 2.5 seconds back. Now, I'm just putting this into context. Photon 2nd, Napadovsky 9th. That's Photon winning the championship. You've got Kruzix 2 tenths down on Napadovsky, as well as Nameless right there on those fresh soft tires. The championship is here. This could be Photon winning the championship, but he needs to find something onto Formula Danny. It's all to play for, as we're going to be entering the final lap of the race. Photon can see his ORL Season 11 title right in front of him. He has a DRS, but Formula Danny has about 60% ERS available. Now, the question is, both of these drivers were velocity drivers in the past, so I'm not sure if there's any camaraderie. I'm not sure if Formula Danny will give Photon that position. Neither of these guys, actually Photon does have a 3-second time penalty, I do believe, which means that the championship battle is this: Napadovsky, Krusix, and Nameless. Look how close they are. Kardinov hasn't pulled away, which means that Napadovsky will be getting that little bit of a tow.
Yeah, he will be, and that's exactly what he needs. Oh, it's just so close. I don't know where to put my eyes.
It's anyone's guess, really. I'd always feel bad if I missed something at the front. And look how close the Leopard is to Photon. They touch coming out of their hairpin. It's just a few corners remaining of the Japanese Grand Prix. Photon crucially has the slipstream from Formula Danny, but the race isn't over yet. Photon, can he get the drive onto Danny Leopard? I feel he's dropped a little bit too far back. Napadovsky, though, he's really fallen back from Cardinal, but let's just keep our eyes on the front. Photon is close to Formula Danny. Will he go for the dive bomb? Oh, he has to decide against the Formula Danny. Will make it through. He returns to ORL and he will pick up the win as well. Photon takes second, Leopard third, but Zones will jump ahead after penalties. Lehman will jump ahead as well. Now Kardinov, he jumps ahead as well. Napadovsky's down to 9th. Napadovsky's in 9th. Photon, Photon has won the championship, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, well played to him. Leopard and Danny fight it out in first and second, and he knew the person who fell out of that battle was easy pickings, and it was smart play for him just to sit back and challenge his ERS. Very, very wise from Photon, and unfortunate for Napadovsky, who drops down at the points. But well played to our champion of ORL, Photon.
Wow, Mr. Consistent coming through. Another podium for Photon. We talked about seeing an all-Hungarian podium. We've got 2. Not quite picking up the third. We might have to wait a little bit longer to get that one. But wow, what a race. Final confirmation then, Formula Danny wins ahead of Photon. Zones in third, ahead of his fellow Pole, Lehman. Kardinov in 5th, ahead of Krusix, Nameless, and Matthias. And Napadovsky being demoted down into 9th place does mean that Photon is your ORL Season 11 champion. Leopard rounds out the top 10.
Oh, wow. Leopard, so many penalties he picked up there. That is massive for him. But you have to imagine, usually he's leading these races. It must be a little bit foreign to him almost to have someone pushing him so hard. And I think that kind of forced him to take some lines that maybe he didn't want to in the end. But a fantastic race overall. So many close battles. I loved watching those battles. And especially the podium. You'd love to see those battles for first and second. That's really where you want your battles to be more than anywhere else. And we really, really had a treat. It was worth the wait, absolutely.
Right, guys. So we're going to be heading into a short break, but don't forget, we have driver interviews coming up shortly, and the straw poll is in the chat. Make sure to vote for your driver of the day. We'll be back in about 3 minutes' time. Also, don't forget to let us know any questions you might want us to ask to our top 3. We'll try our very best to get them through. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have been kindly joined by our race winner, Formula Danny, Calcifer, Nameless, and Triton Layman have also jumped in as Calcifer jumps out and back in. But we have to start with our race winner, Formula Danny. It's been a while since we've had you. It's a pleasure to have you back, and boy, did you deliver again. Just talk us through that race, dude.
To be honest, I don't really remember what happened because I was just driving like instantly. But I really enjoyed the battle with Leopard, yes. And yeah, it was great to not be ahead and only in clean air. It was good that he could challenge me. He was very fast. He overtook me in the pit stops. I needed to get back a little of disadvantage. But after I had fresher tires, I could save my energy. And when I got bored of lapping behind him, I just tried to change a big rhythm and break DRS, and I managed to do that. And at that point, Photon could overtake him, which was pretty nice because I love Hungarian power. And actually, in the last 2 laps, I waited for Photon to give him a bit of DRS to make him keep the second position as I am Team Photon.
Because I was saying to Byron at the time, you were 2.5 seconds back, then all of a sudden you were 1 second back. I was wondering, has Danny made a mistake? And I was like, no, Danny doesn't make mistakes. What's happening here? I was wondering if you might let him through as well, but no, Danny has to take the win, right?
Yeah, of course.
Moving on, we'll try to come back to you in a second, Danny. Layman, you always seem to be there battling for that third place. The midfield battle looked absolutely crazy out there. How was it, trying to manage, attacking and defending from behind you at the same time?
Defending.
Yeah, so when you're in...
Wait,
yeah.
so
Pardon me.
I didn't. The one moment I could defend whole race was when zones overtook me, and I wasn't really defending because I wanted to let him go because I didn't have pace as there was a break and I played other games than F1, so it's my kind of comeback race, and I just needed to get confidence back, and I think it worked really well. So I really enjoyed the first laps for sure, and I was struggling a lot in the last chicane, just not having confidence there yet. And I was doing my best, and it was all to keep other cars behind. So yeah, once you were ahead of like 5 tenths or something like that, you were safe into turn one because the straight isn't long. But it was really fun to drive. I was really pushing the limits and having a good fun behind zones. I was making mistakes. That's not so good, but I was most of the times I was able to correct them and regain some time. But in the end, I just didn't put enough fuel because yeah, I kind of thought it's not so necessary here, but it was. And last few laps I was just running very low fuel modes to make it to the end. I messed up my management again, but yeah, it was better now because I wasn't struggling so much to keep up with guys in front. So yeah, it was a good race, and P4 is a good result.
Congrats on the P4. And Nameless, moving on to you. You started at the back of the grid, but you made a fantastic comeback drive, finishing in 7th at the end. What was it like when you were on those fresh soft tires and carving your way through the medium tire runners?
Oh, sorry, I had my microphone muted.
No worries.
Yeah, it was quite nice, but yeah, let's start in the first laps. I was kind of desperate because I just couldn't get ahead, so I lost a lot of time, and then I had some good overtaking maneuvers, but yeah, I was quite far in front because the others did pit, and then I was able to overtake Matthias, I think, through the undercut. And obviously on the soft it felt really good, and I thought that there was still something possible and was able to catch up on Kardanov, I think some tenths per lap. But then when I was close, I had DRS failure. So yeah, that ruined really my race because I think, yeah, P5 was possible and yeah, my pace was really good. I think I was kind of under the radar, but yeah, it was quite happy despite from the DRS failure.
Oh yeah, okay. DRS failure as well. Regardless, though, a good result from you. Moving on to you, Calcifer. You started at the back alongside Nameless. Was it a similar situation for you, and was it just about just waiting until you got onto those softs?
Yeah, I was stuck as well at first like 5 laps. I was really like, I couldn't overtake because it's nearly impossible then if everyone are together, and then I defended from Nameless, and yeah, it was good when I could pit. Yeah,
Going
that's
back.
all.
Oh, sorry.
No, go.
Going back to you, Danny. Racing against a leopard. That I mean, it was crazy for us to watch. It looked like a fantastic battle, and he was really taking it to you. You know, kind of almost like tipping him even. Do you see him coming up in F1 esports and being able to challenge some of you guys at the front end of that?
Yeah, it was a great battle. In terms of racecraft, he is definitely on an esports level, but to be in the field, and he needs to still find a bit of pure pace, but surely he's on a good way to do so. So I don't see anything against why he couldn't be able to come.
Fantastic. And Byron, do you have any final questions you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
This is to Calcifer and Nameless. One of you two can kind of answer this. You guys didn't have the best of qualifyings, either because you couldn't go and complete your lap because of rules, or because you kind of had a bit of an issue crashing out. So I'm interested in hearing kind of, how do you have a mentality where you can be set back so far in qualifying? What's your advice to people who get put like that? Because you had a great performance just kind of climbing the grid and getting the kind of overtakes where you can. What would you say to others in the same position as to how you were able to move yourself up that grid without getting super tilted at the start, being like, oh, dang, I'm in P19, how am I supposed to do anything?
Who was it to?
You and Nameless.
Oh, I don't know. It's kind of frustrating because you know you lose like nearly 10 seconds to the first place in like 2-3 laps, first 3 laps, and just you need to just live with it, and then there's long race ahead, so it's not gone. And yeah, try a different strategy if possible. That's pretty much all. And make good overtakes.
Nameless?
Yeah, I was kind of prepared, so I knew what will happen. And I think if you start from the back, you should always do the opposite strategy. So you will lose in the beginning, but at the end you are the fastest man, or nearly the fastest, and then you can go and pick up some overtakes through the field. So yeah, just don't give up, do your things, and yeah, don't lose your concentration, and yes, go for it.
Fantastic. Right, I think that's everything then.
Nope.
Oh,
Driver
yes,
today?
yes. Thank you, Calcifer. See, this is why you exist. Right, driver of the day results. I don't think it's any real surprise, but Formula Danny picked that one up with 9 votes. Nameless was second with 2 votes, so somewhat close. Although I feel it's rather surprising. We've got a new champion with Photon, and he only got 1 vote. So, you know, feels for him. But Formula Danny, that means that we get to have another awesome track guide from you at Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, but for this next one, because your Spa one was it Spa? No, it was Hungary. It was really good. I'm expecting to hear some song lyrics coming through in this one now.
Well, I don't think I will do that, but yeah, it will be a track guide.
Okay, we do appreciate that very much. But thank you everyone for joining. And thank you for putting up with Codemasters being Codemasters for 30 minutes before giving us an absolutely awesome race. And we hope to see you all in Mexico. Right, and on that note, wow, what an insane race. I mean, there's just no real way to kind of put that all together because that was absolutely nutty, and I say the best race of the season.
Well, I don't know what the rest of the season was like. So objectively, for me, it has to be the best race of the season. There's no
Right.
way I can
So
argue with that.
we're in agreement, right? Commentators in agreement. Best race of the season.
Yeah.
Right. Any final words then before I do my kind of wrap up thing and we sign off?
Stuff for me. I mean, it's just been a fun experience. I've loved it. It's been great. Maybe you'll be able to sneak me on a couple more times if possible. I'd love to do that. You know.
Yeah, I think I'd love to have you for sure, and I'm sure the guys in the chat would as well. It has been a pleasure, Byron. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all that we have time for. Sadly, I wish there was more. It's been so awesome. As you can see, if you want to hit ORL up with a follow on Twitter, you can see their Twitter tag at @team_ORL. Alternatively, no, as well, you can hit myself or Byron up on Twitter. Hit up Team ORL. You can see everything that's happening from when we have our races to just when we let you know what's happening in constructors and the championship standings, etc. Next race will be at Mexico, 7:30 p.m. GMT on Thursday, and then on Saturday we have a bit of a special event coming your way at 6 p.m. Make sure you keep an eye out on Twitter for that one. But that is all for tonight. We have a new champion. Photon finished third last season, but this season he's won the championship from Hypers and Napadovsky. And on that note, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Stay fast, and we'll see you next week. Good night.